All right, and welcome back to the Irish Goodbye. Uh, as always, you have your hosts, Shane and Jason. We don't do any gimmicky co-hosts or people jumping on to our spot in the
No.
in the spotlight. And unless Jason, unless you want to chime in, we can just jump right in and recap our calls from last week.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, not much happened this week. Nothing really of note for me, so might as well just kind of go through the motions and because season's basically over, more or less.
I think that's 100% fair.
Yeah, nothing matters, and the world is a painful existence.
And you'll more than likely be ending up with one of us again next year. So, you're welcome. Right. So for the injury report this week, looking at the full health calls of last week, Jason, do you know who your full health call of last week was?
I do. I had predicted it would be the Chinese Waving Cats versus Clitanchorus. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I mean, what else can you say? A 1 point game, less than on a Monday night. A 5:30 a.m. dejected message on Discord from Ken.
I was
Dark
just about to
night,
look up that
darkness,
message. By the way, I love that though that you referenced it.
dark of night, darkness of the soul. Let's see. Well, that score sucks to wake up to. 5:15 a.m. And I agree. I agree. I would feel the
If he
same.
had stayed up and watched it, it could have gone differently. He might have been the difference in that game.
That is possible, as we know. Being present for football games does influence the outcome.
And what jersey you're wearing and all of that.
Yep, where you sit, so on and so forth. Good news for Waving Cats, though. They will get a point, even in a loss. So,
which is more than you got this week. So
that is, ooh, that is correct.
So I went with the Superb Owls and Points of Latte. And my notes for it were it was a good matchup, but it did not compare to what I agree was the best matchup of the week with Chinese Waving Cats and Clintagrous. So we don't need to belabor that point too much.
Yep.
I think looking at our into the blue tent or headed for the blue tent. I had the podcast matchup, and you know what? It lived up to the non-hype. We had the 10th and 12th scoring teams of the week. It was one to forget about quickly. I hope.
Yep. I think we both had a pair of Bengals that, given the changed landscape of the league, we wish we did not have on our team, but also no one else wants on their team either. So,
I would say the one positive thing for you did have the, nice bench.
I did. My man,
my
man Woody, the professor, trademark. I think as soon as I put him in next week, he will dislocate both kneecaps.
Oh, most certainly. Yeah.
But at least I had the promise of Dr. Marks. I was quite pleased by carries. He scored. That's good. But the catches, a receiving touchdown. I mean,
my official prediction is he ends up scoring 2.7 points, which is about the same percentage drop off that Trey Tucker faced when he was put into your starting lineup.
Again, Ross, you were right. As I think anyone who listened to this or thought about it at all knew you would be.
You're really stepping on my IR designee situation going on, and I was also going to do that too. But
I mean, I think it's worth saying twice.
Well, and that is as good of a segue as any to move over to our training staff checkups. We're looking at the heroes and the IR designees of the week, and we start off as we always do with the game that's at the top of my list, which is mine. But it also happens to be
Mm-hmm.
Jason's, and
Yeah,
also happens to
it
be
is.
what both of us agree was the worst, and I think everyone agrees was the worst
Yeah.
matchup of the week.
Yep.
Um, looking for heroes on this team, it's it's a little tough.
No more
There weren't
heroes.
many options, but I did decide to zag a little bit. And for the hero of the week, I'm going to go with Tyler Warren. I think anytime you see a tight end
Yeah,
put
I
up
agree.
18.3, so 70 yards, a rushing touchdown, weirdly enough, and
Yeah.
5 reception. It's a good week, and he's a solid player, and I think that it was a big find, but hopefully he can keep it going for the whole season and have
Hmm.
me not have to think about at least one position throughout the year.
Yeah, no, that would be great. Yeah, yeah. Um, I think I would have gone with simply the easy choice. So probably would have gone with Hampton because you want big things from him, and 2 weeks in a row you got him. So the shine is worn off though. No more votes for him. Um, and if I'm gonna go with the, unfortunately the IR designee, we've got. I think we know who it. Well, I don't know. I could pick a couple of guys. I could pick the whole team. Uh, it. I mean, it's probably just based on 2 catches for 13 yards. I think Tucker's probably the easy choice. Trey Tucker, that is, not Tucker Craft. Both Tuckers. Uh, one who did okay, one who definitely did not. I'd probably go with him. I mean, you know, it's rough all around, hard to choose, but you know, we'll go Trey Tucker. I'm sure he won't disappoint me again.
I'm actually, so I have Trey Tucker written down, but I got to tell you, I'm going to call an audible right now.
Oh.
After kind of thinking about this a little bit more fully, Jason, uh, it's you. Um,
Hmm.
if you
Okay.
look at it, you have six possible people to put into that one spot that you put Trey Tucker.
Yep.
Um, and literally,
They're all bad.
50% of them are better than the one you came up with. So arguably, if you had flipped a coin, you might have had a better opportunity of putting in or rolled a 6-sided die, if you will.
Okay.
You'd have had a better opportunity of scoring more points. Maybe not winning,
Definitely not
um,
winning.
but possibly had at least it was a 1 in 6 chance of winning with that. So maybe
True.
that needs to be your new
I'll
strategy.
take
Maybe
that criticism. Yeah. I may as well. At this point, I benched Higgins to see as I gave him a pep talk from a distance before the game. Didn't really work out so much. Seemed like he was getting off to a good start, and I might regret having him on the bench. Yeah, he scored 2 more points than Trey, but I think he'll be back in the lineup going forward. Uh, such
once
as
they
it is.
once they get Jameis,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly,
please,
which I think we're
please
all
get
looking forward
Jameis.
to. Just please, just throw the ball,
And
40
not
times a
Russell,
game.
please. I do not want
No,
Russell Wilson throwing to Jamar
no,
Chase.
no, no. And the Giants, the Giants will mess this up if in this hypothetical situation. So they will be acquiring Jameis because if the Giants were smart, they would trade Russ, but they're not. So they're going to trade unload Jameis.
Oh, please. All right. So moving on to game number 2 on my list is our matchup of the week, Chinese Waving Cats and
Mm-hmm.
Clitankerous. And looking at the heroes for Clitankerous, I mean, I get it. It's chalk. I thought briefly about going with the Denver running backs, but
Yep.
but I decided to go with Puka. I mean, again, you put up those types of numbers. I mean,
36
13
points.
receptions, 170
That
receiving
is
yards. Like,
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's insane. That's 2 games worth of production right there, of good production.
Yep.
So,
I mean, for some of our teams, that's an entire season's worth of production.
well, it's nearly half of what you got, right? So, or no, it's a third. It's a third. Sorry, I
Well,
apologize. I
yeah.
didn't mean to.
I mean, from the receiving slot, I mean, alone. So, I mean, that's who I was going to go with as well. I kind of, I'm kind of coming to look at the Broncos, the two headed beast there in Denver as like one entity almost.
Not entirely insane to do. Like,
Where does Dobbins end and Harvey begin? I
it feels
mean,
like a remember back in the day, like D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart had
yep.
like a year where they did stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that this is that, but I'm just saying it
No,
after a couple weeks of him having to do it, it feels a little bit like it.
it's kind of working. I mean, when you
Yeah.
have now the big deal will be the receivers. Again, my thoughts on Ridley. Neighbors is gone.
And
But
still has 2 open bench slots.
someone is not listening to the podcast.
Definitely not listening.
Clitankers, if you're listening, we're just going to tell you now. You have 2 roster slots to fill.
You are allowed to have free agent anyone you want.
I mean, up to 2 players you can add to your roster right now when you listen to this. So, just public service announcement. I mean, he got Diggs could be an interest. I mean, Diggs as a wide receiver 3, fine. I mean, he had his best game. No scores, but 6 catches, 101. I mean, I mean, as far as best player, I think I would unanimously it's Puka, but that wide receiver depth that he went with in the draft is really paying off now.
But thinning out a little bit.
Thinning out, I mean, obviously, but slotting, having either Harrison or Neighbors as your second wide receiver was already a good situation.
Well, it was good until
it was. I mean, I am hoping that his team collapses completely, but
and then looking over on the other side, this honestly, especially a game like this, 2 solid performances. This would be a typical time after only 4 weeks here of me kind of saying, "Oh, I'm going to pick another hero over here." But no, I will not do that. But I will break the rules a little bit.
Of course, as is our wont.
Right, absolutely. The IR designee is starting 3 tight ends.
Yep, that's what I was gonna. That's what I was gonna say. I mean, I was gonna pick one specifically but no, that would have won. That would have changed the game. I think he flew too close to the sun.
Getting high on his own supply.
Yep. It's starting 2. I mean, fine, I guess, but Kincaid for sure has got to be in there. But Johnson against against the Bills, I would have stayed away from that one to begin with. I know Worthy's coming back, technically his first game, but I mean,
arguably, he starts 1 Chiefs tight end. That's it. I mean, 1 Chiefs wide receiver. That's it. That's all he had to do.
Oh, yeah, either one. Yeah. Tough call there. I'm sure, again, at 5:15 this morning, the what ifs were circling through his head.
I hope.
But then he turned to, his bedside and he saw that poster with every NFL tight end's name.
I was gonna say a Travis Kelce bobblehead, even though he doesn't have him on his team, but I just assume he has one.
I was going to say he's doing a Steve Buscemi and crossing off with lipstick the name of each. A reverse, though. Every one that he picks up gets crossed off. And He crossed off one too many this week.
He's going for the whole set. All right, so bringing us up to Bare Naked Hades and Bottom of the Barrel. First off, I just want to say this game was delightful to watch. Like after the Jalen Warren like late cross off, and me being slightly mad at Wicks, but obviously it was very early, and it was a late scratch. I was just like, oh, great. This is going to be Ross's easy way to a victory.
Yep.
Nay, it was not. So for my hero of this game, I'm going to go with a slightly odd one, only because please you start him. He had a great game and really hadn't been seen a whole lot this year. Khalil Shakir.
Mm-hmm.
Big game changer right there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's big. I mean, I having a Bills receiver myself, you never know what you're going to get. I think that it's an easy choice, I would say. I think that if I were going to go with someone, it would probably be I'd take the easier choice, which is again 2 touchdown catches. Amon-Ra, his star. Just on a day when you wake up and you look at your roster and realize, oh no, I have a guy who is going to score 0 points. That is, again, if he did notice, which again is another question entirely. You need your big guys to pick you up, and they could be Jacobs. But
I was going to say it's a little bit fantastic that both of us passed up 157 total yards, 2 touchdowns.
It's too easy, low hanging fruit. And also that game was just an insane
game.
Offense, overtime. Asterisk added on to that score. That's why a purist here. I'm gonna, he got extra time that other players did not get. So I'm gonna go with St. Brown, the safe choice.
And then for the IR designee, I chose Chase Brown. Not because he had a particularly rotten game. It wasn't terrible. 71 total yards, 3 receptions.
Mm-hmm.
But just because it's not what Ross drafted. And it's such a huge hit to his team. And it's the curse of Jason striking a number of people in this league because he decided to listen to Ross during the draft.
Yeah, well, this is Ross's fault.
Joe Burrow. I agree. No, 100%. I agree.
It is my fault, but it really originally is Ross's fault. So.
But yeah, so Chase Brown is my IR designee for the week.
Yep. Hard to argue with that one. In a game this close, especially against a team that seems as bad as the Titans, I'm going to go with Nico as the IR designee, especially after what he saw from him last week. The flashes of what he was a year ago. I mean, the catches were not there. He only had one more catch than he had those first couple weeks. But no score. Just that could have pushed him over the edge. Handful more catches and yards from, again, a guy who is not performing like you'd expect. I know the score got out of hand there quickly, and they but Stroud spread the ball around, it seemed, and that that hurt Nico, and thus it hurt Ross. So painful to look at that and see your opponent scoring nothing in one position, and you still lose by 7 points.
Hate to see it. Hate to see it. Which brings us up to our next matchup of the week: the Superb Owls versus Points a Latte. He has still not dropped the half calf from his team name. I wish he would. But we have been given freedom to
Yep.
be able to drop it, so
Fused.
we have. Looking at the hero for this game, I went back and forth on this one, Jason. I had a tough time figuring out exactly where I was going to go with it. There were a lot of options, a lot of good players. I'm going to go with the hero of this game is Josh Curtis. And here's why. This is a guy who has been relegated to the bottom half of this league year after
Yeah.
year. And
Multiple podcasts.
he is
Right.
now sitting at
Paintings.
4-0. And honestly, if you look at his team, the most disappointing person on his team is AJ Brown, who is a really good real life wide receiver. And like the Eagles just don't seem to be figuring it out yet, but they will eventually, I think.
Not throwing it to him. They're figuring out winning.
Winning is not. Yeah. But I mean, but
without him,
Curtis's team is solid.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at his points, total points. I mean, points. So interestingly, Points Latte is the most, 539. Super Bowls at 520. Points Latte has played a much harder schedule, but part of that also was playing against Super Bowls. So it's, I mean, he hasn't spent $1 of his waiver budget.
I don't know that he knows how to do that.
Yeah, that's possible. At least he knows how to fill up his bench. Doesn't have any empty spots. And I mean, look at his. Even looking at, I think I've seen a lot of thin benches. Is kind of the way. I think it's kind of been a weird year. Feels that way. But he's got a wide receiver on the bench who has been kind of up and down, but had a big week this past week. He's got he's got a good team.
Yeah,
you look at if Brown even performed up to his or even close to his expectations. I mean, he's had this week he had 9 targets, only 2 catches. Like he's getting, other than week 1, he's at 8 targets, 10 targets, 9 targets. It's gonna work out.
Right.
And the rest of us are, I mean, some of us are already in huge trouble to begin with, but it's going to be good for him and not good for us.
So that brings us over. I just want to make sure. Who is your hero of the week? Are you going with Josh? Or are you?
Well, I mean, I'm contractually obligated to not be able to give Josh that much credit, so I am going to go with kind of a guy who I think is going to need to keep performing this way. I mean, I know Super Bowl's been superb, but I'm going to go with Bijan going into the bye week, because I mean 28 points, obviously 106 receiving yards, 75 rushing yards, and a rushing score. 106 receiving yards as a back, and only on 4 catches. He's going into the bye. That's a hole he's going to have to fill. I'm assuming that'll be a Scatabo sliding in there, and one of these other guys slipping in. But going to Bijan, he's he's the top pick. He's performing like it. Will the Super Bowls be able to ride out the bye week without him? If not, then I think that makes him even more important. You can see how important he is to the team. But I'm giving giving the selection to Bijan this week.
All right, and then looking over at the other side, IR designee. I got to be honest, I had a slightly tough time with this because it wasn't a bad week, and I even looked at some of the guys that didn't quite put up the numbers for Ray, and I still felt they were acceptable. Like it really wasn't a bad week. So it was kind of one of those like middling. So I'm going to look at a guy that I expected more out of this week, rather than had like a terrible week. He had a very solid week. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to say JSN. Um,
Yeah.
I again, 79 receiving yards, 4 receptions, 11 rushing yards. Like there's nothing that's not bad. That's fine. It's just that he's been such a huge cornerstone of this team, for Ray, and the reason why he's been scoring so highly.
Yep.
And and yeah, that I feel like is a big difference in this game, is that he had a fine game, a pedestrian game. It
Yeah.
was good. It was good. It was nothing terrible. It was nothing that you would look at and say, it was, awful. I'm
Mm-hmm.
so angry and upset. But you expect more at this point out of him with what you've seen from him this year.
Yeah. Um, I am going with Chuba. Uh, just back to back down weeks. The Patriots, who I don't think are very good, and he, you know, um, only 10 rushes, 49 yards. Like I saw his little blurb there, something about some injury, but he played, and this whole it doesn't. Uh, it doesn't who really knows what's going on in Carolina, but for a guy that you're drafting to be a top, your RB2 at worst, rough showing, especially in another pretty close game. I mean, 9 points, but again, 9 points relatively close.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go there. I think you just need to see more out of him, especially in a game like that where kind of expect that you're going to be, he's going to be the guy, and he's going to be, out there. But again, he wasn't, and only scoring 13 points doesn't help when you're trying to play catch up. So unfortunately, Hubbard is the IR designee of the week.
All right, that brings us over to our next matchup. We've got the Mad Dogs versus Fat Guy in a little end zone. I think this would have ended up being our worst matchup of the week had the two of us not been playing.
Yep.
And to be fair to Chuck, he came out looking awesome in this game. After some pretty poor showings over the past few weeks from him, I believe, was this his first week crossing 100?
It was. He was quite proud of that earlier.
And he not only crossed 100, but also scored the most points of the week.
He did.
So quite the week for Chuck. And I think that as far as his hero is concerned, you need look no further than the Raider, Ashton Genty,
which you cannot say very often.
He was waiting for this. This was again 33.5, huge week, 138, 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, 2 receiving touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, just a monster week. But this was more of what Chuck was expecting rather than the 7.3, 8.9 that we've been seeing out of Genty the first 3 weeks of the year.
Yep. No argument there. I wish the Raiders had won, but I'm not surprised they didn't. And I hope to see more of this. I mean, it's interesting, in some of the post-game comments about how he talked about his upright stance there in the backfield, which he used all through college. And Pete Carroll's like, I love it. I'm like, well, you're the head coach. Why did you let stupid Chip Kelly change his whatever? Like, Chip Kelly sucks. I don't know why they brought him back. He sucked in the NFL the first time. He went back to college. He came back again. It's a classic Raiders move. But switching things up just to switch things up. That's what we need. Just another mediocre white dude making decisions that ruin real lives, and up to this point, has been ruining Chuck's life. But it seems like some of that has gotten remedied. I'm sure he won't be getting 33 points a game from now on out, but you take that down even to even like a 20-point game, and Chuck Scott is still up there near the top scorers of the week, so he's got to be pretty pleased about this. IR designee. I mean, what can you say about this team aside from there's not a lot of promise there. There's definitely some underscoring players, but I'm gonna give it to Lamar because, and I know it's not necessarily in his control, but just making things up here anyway. He now has a hamstring injury, and he played quite poorly. But everyone was hoping for a much closer game against the Chiefs, and Lamar would have to have been part of that, and he was not anywhere close to what the Mad Dogs would have wanted. I could go with a number of other players as well, but Lamar is my pick for the IR designee there.
So I'll be honest, I had Rashad Bateman written down. Just as sort of a chalk one, just as, didn't do what he wanted to do, was going for the stack, whatever. But then I looked a little further, and what's funny about this is, first, my IR designee would have, as I thought about it a little bit further, been Ramondre Stevenson, just because, and I guess by association, Josh himself, because why?
Why?
What in the past,
after he
after the massive game he had, why did you ever think Ramondre Stevenson was going to be a good play? And my favorite part, though, of all of this, and I have in parentheses as well, the manager too, and that's because Josh seems to be listening to you, Jason.
I think he is.
Which is a dangerous thing given your place in the standings as well.
This is not financial or lineup advice.
Your hate of Isaiah Pacheco kept him out of the lineup, and not that it would have done anything to the overall score of the game, but he'd have been better than any of the the running backs that he started. And also, too, I just like to quickly point out, Josh is quickly going down the Ken Letary road. We'll see how this works out for him. He does have three tight ends on his roster.
Yeah, he's got the forbidden fruit, Kyle Pitts, the apple in the Garden of Eden, and Darren Waller, who I almost completely forgot had unretired. Much less to play for the Dolphins or to be traded to or whatever happened there. Not feeling great about the sustainability of that. 3 catches for 27 yards, but 2 of them were touchdowns. However,
he's getting ramped up right now. I
mean, he is. And with Tyreek out with that horrific injury, who knows?
So I did hear. Here's the interesting stat that I'll give you from listening to the Fantasy Football Happy Hour on the way home from work today. Darren Waller,
is it a competing podcast?
It is not nearly as well known as us. They only get to do things like go to Cowboy Stadium and broadcast from there. So nothing like the luxury that we're broadcasting from right now. Darren Waller was targeted on 40% of his routes last week.
Wow.
So, I mean,
Okay.
He got 4 targets, which means he ran 10 routes, and he got targeted on 4 of them.
Okay.
But that's still a
I
big
mean,
thing, right?
that's good.
And he was being brought in for goal line packages. So like
Yep.
I have a feeling that he's going to ramp up, and that especially with Tyreek out,
Yeah.
he actually might be sneaky, like amazing pickup of the year.
I mean, could be a good pickup. I mean, again, have to say, we did, falsely malign Josh's name in the whole Zamir White debacle.
That's true.
He dropped Zamir White to pick up Jaron Waller. So, I mean, if he goes on an amazing run and turns us around, and if we're in December and we look at Mad Dogs as the champions,
Whoa, no.
woo.
If we look
Okay.
at Mad Dogs as getting a bye in the consolation bracket, it'll be
right.
a big victory for them.
Yeah, if he is not doing the podcast with me next year, then we can look at this point as the turning point of the season.
Which brings us to our final matchup of the week: the Troll Tolls versus the Draft Day champion three-peat. Again, this was a great matchup, to be honest with you, and like ended up being like a really fun game to kind of keep track of.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm looking at who the hero for the Troll Tolls were, it's his running back room. Again, it was something that we had questioned at the beginning of the season.
We did.
But it was solid for this game. I mean, Etienne, Williams, and Brees Hall all had themselves a game. So I there was just no way. And then, I mean, and not to mention, he's got Judkins on his bench, just sitting there hanging out.
He does.
His running back room, which was a liability to start the year, has become the strength of his team. Yep. Whereas the wide receiver room, that was the strength of the team, has become the liability. So,
yeah.
Up is down, down is up. I don't know. I don't know anything anymore, and neither do any of us.
Yeah. Nope. No, I mean, you have the Jets forcing to realize that Brees Hall is the better running back because Allen got hit in the knee or whatever happened. Because the Jets are idiots. But no, I mean, that is more or less what I was going to say as well. I was going to focus in on Etienne himself because of that. I remember distinctly us, wondering how's that going to pan out. Honestly, looking at the, he got Etienne in the 8th round, which is unreal based on the production he's getting. But I mean, we have very short memories in the fantasy world, especially when it comes to the running backs. He kind of faded out, and it's like, oh, he's done for, whatever. But clearly not the case. And in a game decided only by 5 points, you look at a guy that you drafted that late, and he went. I can still remember Brian's face on draft night. The just muted anger and disappointment in himself, self-loathing. But here we have his running backs, 8th round pick, 9th round pick, leading him to victory. So I mean, why not? I'm going to just throw them both in there. Running back room.
I mean, it's
definitely
just to be clear too. You have his 5th round, 8th round, 9th round, and 11th round is where he picked his running backs.
Yep.
And I think everyone in this league would take those 4 running backs on their team.
Yeah. Is this the year? And I think we can give Clitankers credit for this. Is this the year that there's a crack in the firewall around?
Nope.
The RB,
absolutely
the running back horniness.
Nope.
Okay. Well, I mean, that remains to be seen.
Nope. I just need to pick them earlier. That's all. And more of them.
Okay.
All of them.
So it's going in the other direction.
I will pick every running back now. Picks 1 through 9 will all be running backs for the Cardinals next year.
All right. Well, Brian has created a monster. Then is what has happened.
And then looking at the draft day champion three-peat, looking for the IR spot for me. Be easy to go with Njuku,
Eh,
but honestly, tight end is such a crapshoot, and like
yeah,
I don't fault Pat there. And honestly, the rest of his team actually looked really really good. I would
they
say
did.
that the IR designee was Keenan Allen. It wasn't because it was like a terrible game or anything. 5 receptions is fine. He didn't
But
quite
it's
the
the
yardage he
Giants.
normally does, um, but I just think that given what he had done previously, Pat expected a little bit more out of him. And I mean, the one thing I will say about him is if you look on the opposite side, 5 for 37 is a lot more than 1 for 11. And Pat didn't spend nearly as
Yep.
much draft capital for Keenan Allen as Brian did for Ladd McConkey.
That is true. That is true. That's true. I was also going to say Allen as well. I mean, against the Giants, you expect to, and which is real weird week for. I mean, looking at Chargers receivers, McConkey, bad game. Allen, okay game, but he had scored in every game until then. Um, Fewest targets he had since week 2. Just Chargers couldn't put it together. Which those are the Chargers that I know. You know, everyone lauds them here and there, but then they'll inexplicably lose games, and then they will crater at the end of the season. And yet Keenan Allen is there throughout it. Has been pretty consistent. So I'm gonna. We have a lot of agreement this week. Allen should have done more. If he had gotten a score, the outcome would have been different.
Yeah, so that brings us to looking towards next week. Well, we look at the full health, the matchup of the week coming up, and the matchup of the week coming up for me. And until he loses,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be putting the Superb Owls
Yep.
in the matchup of the week, and so it just
Same.
happens to be against a competent, good team in Clitankerous. And yeah, that's going to be the matchup of the week. I don't know how Josh loses it. I don't understand why Yahoo
It's
hates
real tight.
Curtis's team the way it
Yeah.
does. I don't love the double tight end, but I get it with Bijan being out.
Mm,
But even with Bijan being out, you look at it top to bottom, it's like every single one of those dudes could go off. Like that, it's not like it's like a 50% chance that they go off, not like
yeah.
when I look at my team and I'm like, it's like
Will anyone
one in
reach
a million.
projections?
So you're
Yeah.
saying there's a chance.
Saying there's a chance. Yeah, I feel similar. I mean, that was also my pick. I mean, how can you not pick the undefeated team versus a very good other team? Um, I think that based on how things have been going for the Bengals, I do think that Laporta is going to have a good game. Kelsey probably do more of the same, around 10 points, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. Laporta will be the difference. He had gone downhill from his first week, but the Bengals are a mess. So, yeah, I mean, I would also pick that as the matchup. And if I'm going to pick the winner, I think that Clitankerous is beginning to see the post neighbors cold, harsh light of morning here. And Super Bowls gets his 5th win in a row to go to 5-0.
And I don't want to upset you, Jason. But Katankers has moved Malik Neighbors to his IR, which means that he now has 3 open bench spots.
Wow. While we were recording, I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I was looking at his team a little when we went over last week's matchup minutes ago, and he only had 2. So,
yeah, no, I mean, just no words. I just,
all right,
I hope he listens to the pod. Like,
yeah,
please,
it's
just
hard to.
just put someone in there. Like, it hurts me if you do, but like, still,
It does.
it hurts me more talking about you not having a full
It does.
roster.
It does. It feels like a moral obligation
Yeah.
for managing this. Also, I mean, fairness. It appears maybe he's got something cooking, but Super Bowls. I think he is. He's probably kind of. I mean, actually, I don't know what's going on with. I don't know what's going on with. Well, no, that actually won't matter. I was thinking Tracy was going to be out longer, but he's also not IR designated. He'd probably be back in a few weeks. So never mind.
Yeah, but
Never
if
mind.
he has the out designation, you can put him on IR. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. So
yeah,
I
you're
am
right.
correct
No,
in
you're right.
yeah.
You're right. Yep.
Use that spot.
Right.
In fairness, we were talking about what is this? I mean, I'm beginning to think that the two managers that may have lucked into
We give our
the
best advice
ruckus.
towards the end of the pod, so we make sure that people listen
Yep,
all the way.
yep,
Um,
yep, yep.
so looking at the headed for the blue tent, um, uh, Jason, I'm gonna let you go ahead and share what your headed for the blue tent is before I ruin any surprise.
Okay, that only concerns me a little bit. Uh, my worst game of the week is looking at or into the end of the blue tent game of the week or bad game of the week, purely based on what I believe will be a lopsided bloodbath. Is going to be Points Latte versus Mad Dogs, because it is going to be unwatchable and unfollowable, and don't even really have anything to say about it.
Well, I'm gonna disagree. I
Okay.
believe the headed for the blue tent, and I think Yahoo is showing too much love to one of these managers this week. Um, it's going to be the Bare Naked Hades versus Malcolm Death Squad. Um, that is
Mm-hmm.
a dumpster fire of a matchup. Um,
Oh,
somehow, Yahoo loves Ross this year, which is not typical. Um, but but yeah, I mean, Ross is gonna have to figure out what to do with Ricky Pearsall. If he's
yep,
not able to play on Thursday, doesn't have any options on the bench. He'd have to move up either Nico or Jalen Waddle,
yep,
and that
yep.
would bring Chase Brown back into the mix, which is has not worked so far. Can't imagine this week it will work. I don't think Jameis will be ready by then, if and when he gets traded for. Uh, yeah, it's that's an ugly matchup. I have my note says underperformer versus underperformer.
Yeah, that might be generous, um, for at least one of those teams. Um, yeah, I mean, it's fair. I mean, I guess I can't really complain too much about that choice.
I agree.
It's rough out there. I haven't even really. I mean, a couple times a day, I log in, look at my team, say, "Is now the time to try and make a trade?" Well, I'm not good at those. Um, who would want any of these jabronis? Probably no one. Who could I try and hoodwink or trick? Now I'm the one who gets tricked. So I said to myself, let's just hope that I can get a competent tight end for this week, and see how things go, because I may be dipping a toe into the whole pick trading thing. If which I definitely will handle skillfully, um, if things keep up this way for a couple more weeks. I mean, it feels like things are getting late already, and we're only 4 games in.
Yeah, I mean, I will say though, I am surprised that no trades have happened. I know historically it takes a little while in this league for trades to get going,
Yep.
um, but we are in week 5, so
Yeah.
you would think that we'd
I
start seeing some movement.
I did get floated some. I will not naming names, but I did get floated some potential. What would it take for this?
What did Ross offer you?
It was. I will say. I can say it was not Ross yet. Um, it was a very probing type of question of would you do this? And right now, my answer was a unequivocal no. But
So
um,
anyone in the league knows exactly what you're talking about now, I think. So if it's not Ross, it's all right. Anyway,
you
going
might be
on
surprised.
going on to our injury update. This is the pickups of the week. So this is both the pickups of last week. Kind of the great pickups, the ones that we want to celebrate, and then who you should be rushing to the waiver wire after this or before this drops. And so you don't really get to use our advice because we drop after
Yep.
the waivers open, which is on purpose, is to make us look smart and but also helpful
We're
at the
not.
same time. So for me, where I want to start this week is the pickup of the week. And again, this is me realizing I did not read the Yahoo um, page very well. It was difficult to see who got dropped and who got added, and but the Mad Dogs get one positive call out for this week in picking up Darren Waller, who I think, first off, I mean, statistically had a great game. Granted, you could look at the underlying stats and say it's not sustainable, but I do think that Waller is going to be a viable player this year, and a pretty solid pickup for Josh this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, I mean, so far it seems like it could be the case. I uh, I feel like it's pretty slim pickings out here on the waiver wire. Um, you got a couple of guys, some guys who scored this week that might not ever happen again. Kind of all over the place. Um, I'm gonna go with, and of course, Ken, if you're listening and you haven't picked him up by now, which it's possible you're about to spend all your money on this guy, Theo Johnson, the Giants.
I had him written down.
I mean, tight end is a tough position. Um, I mean, the Giants are, new quarterback, young quarterbacks like tight ends. Um, Neighbors is out. He tied the most catches. He didn't have many yards, but he did have a score. So kind of in the same vein as Waller. But you know, when you're looking at people that maybe stash or stick in for a bye week, I think probably could do worse. Theo.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like I said, I have them written down, and I'm gonna jump right off and go along the same kind of thought train here and say Darius Slayton. We've seen it happen
Mm.
before when the Giants' number one receiver has been out, not just last year with Neighbors, but also in previous years as well. Darius Slayton is a guy who can stretch the field. The Giants are going to find themselves in game scripts where they're down. They need to stretch the field. They need to have that one big play to be able to stay in the game.
Yeah.
And Darius Slayton is a guy who can do it. He's not going to do it every week for you. He's more of a lottery ticket. He won't have typically won't have high volume. You're probably going to get 3 or 4 catches out of him, but in those 3 or 4 catches, you could end up with 100, 125 yards and a touchdown on a good week. It's just the good weeks come
Yeah.
about one in every five. So
Yeah. I mean, I think so. You don't really know what you're going to get from, so you might as well try it. Especially if you're really really desperate. Um, but who's desperate? Who's desperate in this league? I don't know. I don't
I
know.
can think of a few managers right now because if you're not desperate, you're Josh. That's about it. Everyone else
That's
has
yep,
suffered injuries
pretty much true.
and needs something right now.
Yep. Which brings me to my second pick. who is Kendra Miller for the Saints. Good week rushing, got a score. I know, Kamara's on the team, but he almost matched Kamara's carries. Miller seems like was injured a lot and also behind Kamara a lot. I think he had a pretty good week late in the season last, maybe a couple of years ago. Yahoo tells me, which is not really that inspiring, but the Saints are not good. And I find that teams that are not good like to, switch things up. Kamara is, he is on, Pat's throwback team. And, nothing really seems to suggest that he won't still be in the mix. But when you have, back-to-back weeks, Miller has 12 points, over 12 points. If you got to slot in the guy, or if you have room to stash him, hoping that something happens, could do worse again.
Yeah, you stole my other one, so I got nothing else. If you have anybody else that you want to highlight,
wow. No, we're pros. You see, we have all of this top analysis. When you're making great picks like this, it's only natural that it's gonna be this crossover. So
I'll be honest with you. I just went and I didn't realize Kendra Miller was in our out there in our league, and I went to see what I wanted to offer for him.
Interesting.
And I can't right now. I just can't. I don't have any room.
Mm. Yeah. See, my just out of spite, holding on to Ollie Gordon the second. I don't really want to have him on my team because I don't really have the capability to necessarily have a stash guy when my team sucks. I need players that I can actually use and would reasonably slot in.
Offer that trade, man.
So I know, Ray, when you listen to this,
he's desperate.
I mean, I'm
Ollie can be had for pennies on the dollar.
Which is a great, as I understand it, to be a fantastic bargaining position to be in, is desperation.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for us this week. Jason had the goal of a tight 30 to 40 minutes for this one. We're pressing an hour at this point.
It was about 50. Looks like 57.
Yeah, so we're pressing an hour, so
it's less than last week.
This will be our typical runtime audience, and just enjoy it and be ready.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm Shane. He's Jason. We're both terrible at this thing we call fantasy football. We'll see you next week.
Yep. All right. Have a good week, everyone.